What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Honeystead. My name is Kaylee and I've had a lot of new faces here. I know I talked about that in my last video, but I feel like more and more every day more people are finding me, which thank you guys for sharing. Again, yeah, this is kind of crazy. But with the new faces, I have had a lot of questions about the Apothecary and about herbalism and where to get started and how to get started, and just kind of basically, how can I make this not be so scary and intimidating for the people who want to start? And that is where that's where my heart is with anything that I do, whether it's beekeeping or sharing about plants and homesteading and just in general, a little bit of what we do here on a daily basis and how to get started, how to do that. So today I wanted to take you guys up into the Apothecary and just kind of answer some of those questions. I will tell you, I'm gonna apologize right now about if I'm not answering the emails that I'm getting. I'm trying. This is the season that it is like full speed ahead between the garden, between just the projects that I have going, and there are some really cool projects that I'm not ready to announce yet, but they're going to be big. So I'm gonna leave that little seed over there, and as it gets closer, I will start talking about some really big announcements that I have to share with you. One of the first questions that I get asked quite often is, what type of schooling did I go to become an herbalist? And yes, schooling is absolutely a very good way to get into herbal medicine, especially when you're kind of not really sure. You don't actually have to go to formal schooling to become an herbalist. You can be self-taught. There are so many resources that you could have at your fingertips, and we're going to talk about some of those resources throughout this video. But my mom and I both went to Green Comfort School of Herbal Medicine, which is a fairly local school. We were blessed with an opportunity to have an amazing teacher named Teresa. She has been doing this for 30 plus years, and she studied under Dr. Duke, which, if you guys aren't familiar who Dr. Duke is, I want you to check out Dr. Duke. What's really funny is one of my very first herbal books that I ever purchased for, I think maybe like 50 cents was, there it is. No, this one. My very first, I'll pick that up later. My very first herbal book that I ever purchased came from a secondhand thrift store, which is a great place to start when you're starting to build your apothecary and you don't necessarily want to buy all the books brand new. Definitely check out used. But my very first book was written by James A. Duke, The Green Pharmacy. It's just ironic to me that I ended up going and having some formal training, having formal education from a teacher who studied under Dr. Duke, which Dr. Duke is no longer alive, but he has left his legacy to many, many people. In fact, he actually has a whole garden that is in Maryland that you could actually check out. I'll put that link down below if anyone is interested, but it's a beautiful place from what I have heard. I've not gone yet, but that is on the list for my mom and I to go. I know obviously this school might not be possible for people to attend, and I'm not exactly sure how long Teresa's actually going to continue to teach in her beautiful yurt apothecary, and one day we are going to have her out here, and I hope that she'll allow me to bring the camera and do a little interview so you guys can meet this amazing lady and hear just her knowledge. And honestly, having a teacher that shows you how to fall in love with what you want to learn, I think is what keeps you going. And I think that's why I love sharing with you guys, because I have truly fallen in love with the plants and all the abundance and everything that they can offer. But there are other schools out there. and they might actually be in your area. A good way to find out is going to the American Herbalist Guild. I will put that website down below, and when I say down below, it's going to be in the description section. I try to put as much material there as possible, links, everything of that nature, so it'll be a quick reference for you to be able to find. But you can actually go on to the American Herbalist Guild website. You can click your state. You can see schools that are in your area, potentially in person. There is also virtual as well. I know the Herbal Academy has got a pretty good reputation of being a very good school. I have not taken any courses through them, but I do know some people who are taking courses through the Herbal Academy. And then I purchased a book for my daughter because she's showing interest. She might have taken it, which is fine. I had it up here and I don't know. Oh, there it is. There it is. My daughter is more into the herbal. She is very interested in herbalism, but she is more interested in cosmetics and skincare and just self-care. And so I purchased this book, which is the Botanical Skincare Recipe book. She's a teenager, and I'm trying to get her interested more and more by showing her all the things that she could do and the potential that's there. Let this be your classroom. We can make products. We can do a good bit, because not only do we have herbs, but we also have bees, and we have wax, and we've got the medicinal byproducts of those bees, and just learning how to incorporate them in and make salves and do those things. That's what's exciting. Now my son is more interested in foraging and plant identification. So he and I will go out and we'll go on walks and we'll start looking at plants, and I try to teach him along the way. And he's actually gotten pretty good about being able to identify certain plants and what their medicinal properties are and how to use them. And I think, to me, that's the way that I like to learn. I want to get out there. I like books, don't get me wrong, but I want to get out there and I want to experience these plants. I want to use them, and I want to see how they work in my body. My type of learning that I tend to do is very hands-on, very visual, and then also by sensory. Like, I want to feel it, I want to know, so then I can describe, because if you are new to certain plants, you don't quite know how they're gonna make you feel. That's just kind of how I like to learn. But essentially, you can get into herbal medicine and making of plant medicine and foraging, and you don't even have to forage, but I do recommend that you do forage because it's free plants, you know. I'm gonna put that there. But you don't have to get into foraging to be able to make the product. There are so many resources that are out there. There are a few different places that I will ethically source herbs from if I can't grow them and if I can't forage for them. I do like Frontier, which I'll put that down below, Star West Botanicals, Mountain Rose as well, and then the other one that I've used a bit is Pacific Botanicals as well. And you can get bulk supplies of herbs. Don't knock growing them or foraging for them if you have the ability to, because my mindset with our apothecary and my mom's apothecary, this place where we love to come up, we want the regenerative aspect. And I think maybe that's part of the survivalist in me, is that I want to know that if I can't get this plant anymore by online, which sometimes happen, you know, sometimes there are months where you actually can't get anything because it's not the season or everybody's purchased it. So instead of relying on a company that's going to ship something to you, maybe see about looking at an alternative that grows in your area and potentially, you know, either growing or foraging for it. So that leads me into seeds. There are a few seed companies that I'm actually working with. I do have an affiliate link that I will put down below. But a lot of my plants that we have growing in our apothecary garden, which somebody just referred to, and I forgot who the name of the person, but I'm gonna say thank you for sharing that with me. They called it the living apothecary. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what it is. It is a living apothecary. These plants that are growing, I could literally just go and harvest and then start using, turn it into something, make it, and help support my body. But Hoff's tools, they've been wonderful. And I said, hey, you know, there's such a movement with people that are trying to grow food, but I think that there needs to be more of a movement for people that want to grow plants for their own health, for their own, you know, body, to support themselves, to support their family. Can I give you a list of plants, and can you start maybe incorporating this into your store? And sure enough, they were amazing. And so I gave them a list, and they started out with a good bit of herbs. I'm gonna reach back out to them, and I'm curious if next year how it's going and if they want to add some more, because I got a little bit of a problem when it comes to plants. So Hoff's Tools is a great resource. Again, I have an affiliate link because obviously I'm working with them, but everything that you're seeing in my garden, minus a few plants, comes from them. So that's what I wanted to share mainly, because I think I forgot to do that on my last garden tour. It's gonna help kind of show, like, yes, okay, these seeds are actually really, really good. They're growing and they're making beautiful plants, which again, we just were able to harvest calendula from them and some chamomile. And then I have a bunch more that we're gonna be harvesting very, very soon. But the other company that I've also used is Strictly Medicinal as well. I had pre-purchased a bunch of seeds from them a couple of years back, and I planted a little bit. It was hit or miss. Some of the plants didn't make it, and I don't think it was the seeds' fault. It was definitely my fault. Like, I planted arnica. Don't know what happened to it. I put it in the ground, and I think I unalived it on accident when I was weeding, which sometimes happens. But anyways, so I wanted to give those two out there. I definitely want you to check out Hoff's Tools, though, not only for their herbs, but also for their produce. We grow a lot of their tomatoes, a lot of their stuff, and I've had really good yields every single year with our garden. I will also add that, and please don't ever feel any pressure to purchase anything from anything that I'm sharing with you. I made an Amazon storefront with all of the books that I have here in the apothecary that my mom and I both agree that are very good books. And then I also put all of our supplies that we have used, even the teapot, because everybody asks about the teapot, and that is on the Amazon storefront. So that link is gonna go down below as well. Please feel free to just check it out. And again, no obligation to purchase through Amazon. I just put it there because it's a lot easier instead of having to like individually answer. It's just a one place to go and you can see, but I have the drying rack. I have all of the books there. I have our stainless steel bowls, our teapot, everything. Pretty sure I have everything. I'm just gonna kind of pan through and pull some of my favorite books so that you guys can kind of see. Obviously, I shared with you already my first one. This is special. I should frame this one, but it was like a 50 cents first one. My mom's her first book that she ever got. Was it this one? I think it was. This is one of her first books. I tell you what, this is actually a really good book. And it was funny, we were flipping through it the other day and she was like, 20 years ago, she had written, no, maybe not 20 years ago, she had written her own protocol for herself. So we keep it. But I wanted to share this one with you because this is a very good book. And not only does she talk about plant medicine, but she also talks about natural healing. If you're experiencing inflammation is a huge topic when it comes to plant medicine. There are a lot of good herbs out there that are great for as an anti-inflammatory. Chamomile is one of them. There are so many things that you can use. Meadowsweet is an anti-inflammatory. Gosh, a lot of them are anti-inflammatories, but in short, the plants, the herbs, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, but there's also stuff that you have to do. You know, you have to look at cutting the sugar out of your life. Cutting sugar is huge for helping if you have an inflammation issue. So this book is kind of nice because it also kind of gives you an idea of like, okay, what can you eat for this? What can you take supplement wise? And what are the plants? What are the plants that are good? The other thing that I will add though is we don't always just reference one book. I pull all of my favorites. And my mom, she'll pull her favorites. We'll sit down, we'll open up, and we will have a debate. And it's like we're making a case. And I mean, we have tea videos. We have videos in the past where we basically are blending up a tea and we're making a case for it based off of the reason why we're blending this tea up. So I just had to kind of put that there because yes, the plants are amazing, but lifestyle is a huge role in your overall well-being, and the plants will support you, but you also have to help support your body. And sometimes that's looking at what you're putting into it. Food, sugar, all of that. So I just wanted to share that with you, but let's go look at some of these books and I can kind of give you an idea of what we have and go from there. I don't always share everything about my life outside of the homestead, but I have in the past, so I'm comfortable sharing with you. But this also will give you kind of a background on my knowledge base and my skill set. So I have worked in the medical field for many years. I started out as a CNA. I loved it. I worked in nursing homes and specialized in like dementia and Alzheimer's units. And then after that, I went and worked on telemetry. I did that for a little while. Oh my goodness, I was kind of all over the place in the hospital. And then I even did hospice for a period of time, which surprisingly, I actually really enjoyed hospice and learning about the people that I was caring for during that time, and not just the people, but also the family members. I think maybe that has really molded me on the type of person that I am, and why I look at life very differently, because there for a period of time I was seeing life in a different light that not everybody gets to see. And so the one lesson that I definitely got was you need to appreciate what you have right now and how beautiful that it can be. And that's why it's very important for me mentally to share and find something that I think is very beautiful every single day. I try to find something that I'm grateful for every single day. That is a practice that I do, and I hope that my videos reflect that, and then I also hope that maybe that rubs off on people, because it's sometimes too easy to look at the bad and to stay in that, and I don't like that. Because me personally, I don't like that. There's so much to be grateful for, and there's so much beauty that is still in this world, even though things are told that it's not as beautiful. So I challenge you to start that. You don't know who might need it. But after that, I went back to school, and I became a surgical first assistant in the operating room. I started out as a surgical tech, started logging all my surgeries, did the first assist schooling. I know how to suture. I know how to do a lot of things, but I did that for a little while, right up until COVID, and then my life changed and I had to step away, and that's okay. My homestead needed me. My babies needed me. But the skills that I learned throughout those years, I definitely have made me who I am right now. So with that, with herbal plant medicine and understanding how they work in your body, I also very much like a good old-fashioned anatomy and physiology book, so that you kind of know what you are working with. And there are multiple different herbalism books. There are books out there that basically are just going to tell you the actions of the plants, like actions as in what they can do, you know, in short, a description of what they can do. But if you have that scientific mind and you want to understand how they work in your body versus what they do, that's where I like an anatomy and physiology book. It helps paint a bigger picture to the plants. And this could go on, but if you do have that scientific mind, my other favorite book is the Medical Herbalism book by David Hoffman. This is very scientific based. It basically breaks down the plant matter, looking at it more on like a molecular standpoint and like how it works in your body. And then also what I like about it is it has a beautiful materia medica in the back. So if you ever need reference, this is a very good book and very, very trusted. Now, one of the things that I like to do is when I get a book that I really, really like, I will look and see where their references, where they come from. And then I end up getting those books as well, which the Commission ebook, the German Commission ebook, this is another very, very good book, but it's a therapeutic guide to plant medicine. It's a very large materia medica, and a materia medica, I say that and it might have gone over your head, I apologize. In short, a materia medica is a full-on description of the plant, of the science, and I'm gonna apologize. I was working in the high tunnel on my tomatoes and I don't wear gloves, so my fingers are a little stained. Y'all, this is homestead life. It's fine, I'll clean it when I go take a shower tonight. But anyways, so it'll basically break it down. So it'll tell you what the plant is, the scientific name. That is very important when you're looking up your plants or when you're growing plants, because I've shared with you guys, like passion flower, there are so many different types of passion flower, but the medicinal passion flower is Passiflora incarnata. So I try to go with the scientific name versus the common name. And that'll help. And then contraindications, that's a big one because you want to know if that plant is not going to work with you. Side effects, dosage, it goes into detail, the uses. It's a very nice guide to understand what each plant has to offer, and basically kind of goes into detail. So those are really good for me that I like to start with, but that can be very intimidating for somebody who's starting to learn. And what I don't want is, and I've seen this happen, what I don't want is the fear of something that's intimidating to stop you from learning, because it doesn't have to be that complicated. And like when we host our workshops here, oh, I could tell you plants and what they do, what not to take, when to take, how much to take. But I found that it's more helpful to show the people that are here, come into our workshops when we're out foraging. I bring the books out, we go outside, we identify, I show them how to look through the book. I know that sounds simple, but sometimes that part of herbal medicine and learning, that's kind of the intimidating part. It's like, how do you start? And so one of the other books that I like an encyclopedia to herbal medicine. I'm a picture person, guys. I'm very visual. I want to see it. I want to touch it. So having a book that offers pictures, that helps me big time. But then it also goes into, okay, the parts that are used. So for instance, milk thistle, the parts used, the flower head, it goes in, it shows you pictures, the seeds, and then key preparations and their uses, whether it's a decoction, whether it's a tincture, capsule, tablet. These are the parts that kind of, it starts painting a picture for you when you really start to dive in. So I like scientific, but then I also very much like easy, you know, pictures. Show me, how do you do that? So then after that, okay, so I've been able to kind of pick out what the plant, what it does. I can identify it. I can go through and look in my medical herbalism book, which is the big one, David Hoffman, about what plants to use for what ailment, how can the plant support that ailment, and then it's like, well, then what? Okay, so I've been able to identify it, I know how to use it, but then how do you make the product? So then I think my next favorite is, I don't know where it's at. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. The Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook. So that's a pretty good one because it kind of goes into detail and it gives you categories, and it tells you whether it's an infusion, which is just a fancy word for brewing it like tea, or a decoction, which is you kind of cook it down and reduce it by half. That you're gonna do with your roots, your berries, your barks. An infusion is more your leaves, your flowers, that type of concept. And then how to make a tincture, how to do all these things. So that's kind of how my brain works with getting started into herbalism. But I also like other materia medicas. I like other books, and this is where, for me and for my mom, we both agree we love having our books with us. We love that we can sit down, we can open them up, and we can read, because what we found is that each herbalist, they might have very similar experiences with the plant, but then sometimes they have something a little bit more, you know? So it's fun to see and read, because again, that herbalist might have learned from a prior herbalist, you know, and then just the knowledge that's been passed down, I think is amazing. I also like to kind of look up studies. I like to go, you know, and look up like the NIH websites and see scientific studies. I want to see, okay, does this really have an effect, or is it more folk? I'm not discrediting the folk term, because I've experienced plants that have been considered folk remedy, and I've had a reaction, an outcome, a good, something positive. But I also like to look up studies as well. And sometimes I print them out and sometimes I save them. I probably should do a little bit better about that, but I'm gonna end up having like a book this big. The other thing that I do like, and I've shared in the past as well, is my field guide. Now, I do a lot of foraging, and this was one of my favorites, but this is Stephen Foster and Dr. Duke, James A. Duke. My first book that I ever purchased, he had written. This is a field guide for me. So when I go and I do my foraging, I want to actually be able to identify what the heck is it, you know? And so what I like about this field guide is there's pictures, and then they also have it based off of like, it's color coded, because I'm simple and I need something like that. So if the flower is purple, I'm gonna look down at the bottom and I'm gonna go to the purple section to see if I can identify that. And we have that. We actually have comfrey growing in our garden. And I also like how in this book it kind of goes into detail and tells you, like, talks about the Native Americans and a little bit of the history of the plants and how they were used initially. What you're gonna find when you guys are starting to get into herbal medicine is you're going to see that one plant is going to offer multiple things and in multiple ways. And I think that that's truly amazing when you really start to dive into plants and what they have to offer. So, but I do have all of these books here on the Amazon storefront. I do invite you to check them out. We've had a lot of we have a lot of really good books on there, and not just with plants. I also have my mushroom books on there. I tell you what, mushrooms are my favorite, and that's something that we're gonna kind of talk about a little bit later on some announcements. But one of my favorite mushroom books is Christopher Hobbs. This one's great. He has pictures and goes into detail and how do you prepare them and all the things. You know, mushrooms are amazing. And to me, that as much as I love plants, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the mushrooms. Another question that I get asked quite often is my jars. We went back and forth with the jars, and I initially wanted gallon-sized jars, but I'm really glad that I did not, because that would have been huge. And I have a lot of jars that are right here, but eventually in the Apothecary, we're gonna move some things around when we get a little bit more shelving. But these jars are just the half-gallon size jars from Ball. Nothing fancy, that's it. I like the wide mouths. However, I do have some that are not wide mouths because at this point you just use what you need, what you have, and you know, you just go with it. But half gallons for us work pretty well because I can kind of stagger them in my cabinet so that I can at least see what I have. Now, if you notice, every single plant we have the common name, and then we also have the scientific name as well. When we foraged for the wild rose on our property, which, oh my gosh, that was such a fun video. We put the name wild rose and then the scientific name, and then on the back it was wild crafted. So, and then this is freeze dried, which, you know, I know that because I have the little oxygen absorber in it. But these are the little things for us to kind of stay on track and then know, and it helps with our inventory. Now, not everybody needs an apothecary this big. In fact, I actually have a kitchen apothecary that is perfect, and it's small. We've got pint-sized jars. It's great for us because not always do I want to run over here to grab something. So we've kind of narrowed down the things that we know that we use on a regular basis, and we have it right there in my kitchen. You know, plant medicine you don't have to have this space. You can absolutely do this in your kitchen, in your cupboard. That is what it is intended for. What we do is a little bit different. We are community herbalist. I want to help the people that I can help. For a while, we actually had it online that we were doing online consultations. I had to pull that back for right now because of some of the projects that I'm working on, and I didn't have I knew I wasn't gonna have the time to be able to dedicate to block out the things because I am a person, a mom, doing all this, and then also a caregiver as well. So that is on pause for right now, but I am still helping the people that are right here in my area. And for us, that's kind of why we have what we have. We also teach, we also help, we share, we bring people out, we do these things. And that is my other passion, is to taking people along with us when we're doing this, because there's something that happens when you're taking people and you're foraging and you're showing them the things that you're excited about, and then you see their excitement. And then what happens after that is it makes you more excited about doing these things. And so that is one of the reasons why, but not everybody needs a space like this. But if you continue to go into herbal medicine and you continue to grow in plant medicine and learning, you can become registered and you can do this. I'm we're in the process. That's kind of my plan. Like, I have a plan, but I don't have to technically be registered. But to me, that's a goal, a personal goal, and it's a work in progress. I'm not setting a time limit on it, though. I'm not putting so much pressure on it, because right now I'm just taking the time and I'm enjoying what these plants have to offer, and then seeing the people that are benefiting. That's more important right now. So that's kind of where I'm at on my herbal journey. Is just, I'm basically doing case studies, and I'm working with the plants, and I'm here and I'm doing it, and if I can help somebody out, then that's awesome. But I am also learning that I'm helping more people, and not just me. My mom and I are helping more people by sharing with you guys, because what then is happening is we are seeing your apothecary, we are seeing your garden, we are seeing your excitement, and honestly, that means more to me than anything, because it's planting that seed and it's giving you that encouragement, and I'm showing you that this is very possible and this is not scary, and you can absolutely do this, and you can start with what is growing in your front yard, and that to me is what excites me. So I just had to put that out there. But everything that we use is on the Amazon storefront. We are gonna end up going through and kind of showing you the other top items. I think that'll be in the next video, but I wanted to just take a couple of minutes and just kind of, let's get everybody up to speed. Let's answer the common questions that I've had, and then we're gonna move forward. And sometimes in the future, we might like go back a little bit more just to catch everybody else up, and then go from there. And who knows what's gonna happen. There's a lot that is in the works, and as they come, I will share them with you. But for right now, I just wanted to share that, because again, I would much rather have people start where they're at, versus be too intimidated and not start at all, because that's the only failure. It's just not starting at all. So anyways, I am gonna go and finish the rest of my evening, but I wanted to take a couple of minutes and share that with you guys. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask in the comments. I will try to get to them, or if there's a collective amount of questions, I'll make note of that, and we'll cover that in one of the next videos, because we got a whole lot to talk about and not always enough time to talk about them. So yeah, as always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and learn something old. Bye guys.